You need to get over what I am calling covetousness stroke the allure of mammon. And I will explain why I'm calling it the allure of mammon. When you look at the Bible, New Testament talks a lot about covetousness. Actually, the first we know very well is the love of money is the root of all evil. And through covetousness, many have pierced themselves with many sorrows. When Jesus talked about evil mammon, many commentators say he was actually referring not just to wealth, but when you have this overriding desire, especially, and mark this word, especially for cash. And I will explain why I'm saying covetousness stroke the allure of mammon. Well, covetousness simply defined is when you want more than you actually need. And that is what drives the greed that is in the world today. Even if it means acquiring the money through unrighteous or illegal means. Now, when you begin to analyze wealth, generally, wealth means everything. Material things, houses, cars, lands, money as in cash. But when you look at the whole picture, you realize there is something about cash that now makes people now a bit, their thinking is affected a bit. And that's why sometimes, so that you understand why I'm saying it has a different way of affecting people. If you give someone a house worth 5 million, they may not even feel, they will be, this is a nice house. But give the same person the 5 million cash. They can jump all over because now there is something about cash, money in, cash form that begins to stir up something in your heart. And that is why Jesus was talking about now the wicked mammon. There is something about money in liquid form that makes people lose their mind. And that is why, as the devil fights now the glory that we saw there, one of the crookedness he will bring in your life is for you to love liquid money more, even than now we are talking finances, than assets. And that is why when you talk about poverty levels, now let's talk now money language. You have seen this program, it's no longer there, that used to run, Who Owns Kenya? You never saw people talking about how much money is in the bank. You never saw guys that you thought should be there, simply because they have a few buses on the road. You only saw guys who own what now is called assets. You are told this guy owns this building in Nairobi. This guy owns this number of shares. They are not talking about money. They are telling you he owns 70% of shares in Safaricom. Now, it's for you now to calculate how much money would that be if he sold the shares, because shares is not money. The guy does not have money. He has shares. If he sells, that's when he gets money. But look at now, when we talk about the poor people in Kenya, they are people who don't have any asset. They may have a few shillings here and there, and they have no care for assets. Actually, you tell them there is land being given there, the first question they ask you, can I sell it? Because they don't want the land. They want the what? The money. They want the cash. And without them understanding, this creates a spiritual problem. Let me highlight a number of issues under that, some, I call them parameters, so that you can gauge where your covetousness level is. Right? Number one, and I want you to note these things carefully. These are now parameters to use to gauge where you are. Do you crave for money in your pocket, even if that money is not yours? Of course, you know what I mean. There are people who would rather borrow money from you ili atembee tu na pesa. He will not use the money. He will faithfully return it. But he just wants to have what? The money in his pocket. There is something he is not aware of. Why would you even want money in your pocket that doesn't belong to you? In your mind, you are thinking of wealth in terms of money only. It even goes further. You realize there are people who can use, at the end of the month, they have earned the money, they have already allocated it. This is what goes for rent, this is for the tithe, this is for the debt I owe, this is for this and this is for this and this. And then for the next 3 days, they are still dodging the landlord. They have the money in the pocket, but they won't pay. They will still pay, but not today. Why? At least for today, let me have what? Let me have the money in my pocket. Wacha ilale tu kwa mfuko for today. It may look very okay to the worldly person, but remember what we said, there is a voice crying in the wilderness. You should ask yourself, what is this that I want about money, even when it doesn't belong to me? This is why you hear, sorry to say, even in certain organizations, this thing begins to eat some people in management so much that they will, at the end of the month, take the money meant for salaries and they keep it in their account for 1 day. Well, for them, they will be earning interest. And then tomorrow they get the money and they pay the employees. Of course, that is corruption. But you know, because technically no one lost their money, they say, I didn't steal from anyone. I just played smart. It's a crooked way. There is something already wrong. All you realize, and now this may shock some of you, even money meant for the kitchen never stays in the kitchen. It stays in your pocket. You walk around with it. So the question is, should I go up? But every time you are traveling now, it's usiku imeanza kuingia, wow, hakuna pesa ya boga. So now you have to call, please, you call your house girl or whoever is managing. Tumia pesa yako, itakuja kurudishia. So the question is, this money was meant for the kitchen. Wamama tuko pamoja. Why were you carrying it? Because at the back of your mind, I need money in my pocket, even when I can't use it. It was supposed to be kitchen money. So why are you carrying it? Can I do the altar call now? Okay. I want you to see some of these things without you realizing. If you find you are prone to wanting to have money belonging to other people, you actually, anytime you are in any gathering that involves money, you volunteer to be the treasurer. Not because you will misuse the money, but simply because you just want to be having money that belongs to the group in your pocket, and you will faithfully keep it for them. But the question is, why do you want to have money that does not belong to you in your account, in your pocket? Why do you want the money when you know it doesn't belong to you? There is something wrong. And that is why we are talking about these things. That is not how God prospers his people. That is fake. That is, actually it's a lie. And by the way, when you keep on going that way, the devil now flips it and it begins to make you always think you have money when actually you don't have. These are some of the things I realized. As long as I am in my pocket, I have 10K, you know, at the back of my mind, it's like I have money. But then, that is on paper. In reality, I don't have money because that 10K already has been allocated. This is for so and so. And that's why, and I talked about it the other day, one of the easiest ways for you to get stuck in that wilderness is now to be someone who struggles to pay debt even when you have the money. because it is the same thing. You know you have money, you are supposed to pay so and so, but you don't want to pay. You keep on creating a lot of excuses. By the way, I want you to look at this from a spiritual perspective and ask yourself the hard questions. I need to pay my landlord. I need to pay even tithe and things like that. I have the money right now. Why do I keep on pushing it forward? You even make yourself busy. I don't have time to send the money. You have time. You simply don't want to send the money. Just sit down right now. Many of people use M-Pesa now. Send the money the same day. You will realize once you do not have the money now, or rather, if what remains with you is now what is yours, you can now think clearly because you know this is what I have. But as long as you have 20K at the back of your mind, unasikia wacha nilale na tu pesa. But it is not your money. Supposing you send what needs to be sent so that you can now, remember what I said, you can now begin to pray because you know you don't have money. If prayer is what you want to do. Now I know I don't have money. But once it is there, kuna tu pesa. But it belongs to the landlord. So why should I spend one more day with it? Another parameter. We are now just on that issue of covetousness. Do you find yourself struggling? And the key word is struggling. To acquire more and more, even when you don't actually need it. And the need here is, there is that like a bottomless pit in you that cannot be satisfied. You get this amount of money today, and it's like, in as much as there is that room for healthy desire for growth, capacity, but there is now what is unhealthy, completely unhealthy. It is no amount of money is ever enough. This is what drives people to what we call workaholism. They are forever working. They are in this job. They have a side hustle. But then even that is not enough. They want to have another side hustle beside the side hustle. Because now it's like there is that thing in them, I just need to make more at any expense, even if it means sacrificing my family to make more. So someone is working 8 to 5, then from 5 to 8, they have this business they do. Then after that, you realize now they are even being tempted to do some taxi from 8 to 1 a.m. So you're asking them, dude, can't you at least now rest? When will you rest? Because you've been working, you are busy in the office where you are employed. Then after that, you went to your business, you worked up to 8. Now go home, be with your family. Otherwise, you will work and make all the money, and then when you go home, there will be no one waiting for you. They got tired and left. Your kids do no longer know you. You are a stranger. You've been paying fees for strangers in your home. Because by the time you finish paying for them, you are like, which of you is in third year? By the way, by the time you arrive there, you realize you lost your family a long time ago. And these are realities. I know for some of you, you are too young to understand, or you are the victim of such a scenario, where now you go talk to your dad and he's like, which university are you in? Nani anakuanga Moi? Where do you go Moi ama where do you go where do you go Egerton? By that time, even you are beginning to feel that. Even if you are making a lot of money, I think you also need me. We need to have a connection. We need to have, at least have some time together. You cannot be making money 24/7. It's covetousness eating you up. And by the way, you just need to read Ecclesiastes when he begins to say how this man struggles to make all this money and then he dies, and in the characteristic language of Ecclesiastes, he gets a fool for a son. So what he so much toiled to get, his foolish son blows it away in a minute. Why? He should have made some money and then invested in the son also, because if they had interacted for some quality time, the son would have been able to manage his money. But he spent all his time making the money and lost the son. So he has the money. When he dies, the son, in 1 year, he sells all the buildings, he sells all the cars, he loses others because he's drunk, and then he's back on the streets. And you are like, this guy, his father used to be a rich man. Why? This guy, the father, forgot that you can lose yourself trying to make more and more and more money. There should be a balance. The last thing on this issue, and I know this one is a sensitive one to many of us, I'm talking about parameters. Do you find yourself constantly checking your balance? I mean, it's not like you are dealing with complicated financial systems. You are not Safaricom. You are not paying tax and paying suppliers and paying commission to M-Pesa agents. The last time you transacted is just airtime you bought of 10 bob. But every 30 minutes, check balance. Oh, 2,000. After another 10 minutes, check balance. So, even if you are expecting some money, there will be a notification if the money comes in, right? But you keep checking the balance. You are the kind of people who will hold other people at ransom in the bank because you are queuing just to check your balance, which you checked in the morning, but you are there, nakuta line ya nini, kwa teller, ni mrefu sana. Next, only for this person to go to the say, I want to know my account balance. And even the look on the teller can tell you, dude, don't you have something better to do? Or maybe can you check it out in the ATM? And even in the ATM, you still find yourself, you are in town, you checked it in the morning, and it's not like you are waiting for a check to clear. There's nothing you are actually waiting for. But you just want to be, I mean, it's an obsession. But I'm speaking about some things that are very simple, but you know, when you talk about spiritual matters, nothing actually is innocent. Nothing is harmless. There is something behind that thing that keeps on making you want to check your balance. It's not like you are waiting for anything. Unaga kitu kana kukula. Even you wake up in the middle of the night to check your balance, as if, you know, there was a check that you were waiting for it to clear. And especially nowadays, there are actually systems to let you know when your balance changed. They will tell you there was this withdrawal, there was this, deposit. But you are not even waiting for that. But you still find yourself, there is something behind that. And that's why I'm raising these issues so that you see, before the glory of the Lord can manifest, you need to deal with some crooked pathway. You need to fill some valleys. That thing that is making you want to keep on checking your balance, that is a valley somewhere. You need to ask yourself, what is it that is making me want to do this? By the way, when we are talking about spiritual things, every time you notice something unusual, the question you should be asking yourself is, what is it that is making me do this and this? What is this that is making me want to keep people's money in my account? Because until you know what is making you do it, you'll never deal with it. But once you dig deeper, you begin to realize, oh, I think I just want that feeling of I have money, and then you begin to deal with that. Once you deal with it, then now the crooked paths are straightened, and now you can begin to see the blessing of the Lord. Otherwise, you'll keep on pretending everything is okay, yet there is something wrong, terribly wrong, in the DNA of your spirit when it comes to certain matters. And that's why now, with the time, this person finds themselves, some of them in serious debt, some of them totally unable to manage matters, finances in their life, and they will now begin to blame other things. That's where now it becomes very easy to talk about curses. Because curses, I am not to blame. It is my grandfather. I'm struggling financially today because there is a curse about finances that comes from my grandfather. But you are not seeing that you are part of that curse because you are behaving actually in a worse manner than your grandfather. Because once you cannot pay your debts, even when you have money, how can you begin to talk about your grandfather who paid his debts? You get me? You need to make the crooked pathways straight. The last one for today, I told you we'll run this series until you get it. You need to get over what I call a colonial mindset. And I mentioned something about this last Sunday. This thing, especially for us in Africa, not Africa, third world, according to the West, because there is nothing like first world. But let's use as the West refers to. There is something that is wired in us to think certain things make us, better. And that's why to us now it's a colonial mentality because we only saw these things na muzungu. Right? So we begin to associate now this is what makes me a better person. I know if you grew up like me, being told, hey, fulani anakula kama muzungu. And you are like, so muzungu anakulanga aje? Hii si vitu ya kijiji, hii ni ya muzungu. And you begin to find yourself unconsciously falling victim to the same. You begin to associate certain things. You begin to think margarine is better than what is the name of hiyo kitu ilikuwa inatolewa kwa maziwa? Yeah. Not cream. The one the sour milk ambao zamani ilikuwa inatengenezwa na wamama, hiyo kibuyu anagonganisha hapa hivi mpaka inatoa. Ghee. It's called ghee or something. But now, you give an African kid ghee kutoka kwa shushu. Sinataka blue band. Why? Because already in their mind, they associate that other thing with the muzungu. This is for God's sake, some of you are in debt, are struggling to save, are struggling to live healthy because you spend your money on something. I'm not talking about luxury. I'm talking of just the common sense of realizing this thing serves the same purpose. And I can buy this one that costs this amount rather than this one that is costing higher just because this one which is higher is associated with a muzungu or certain. Now for you, this generation, it is about certain celebrities. And that, by the way, that's what advertisement is all about. That's why you have not been called to do an advert. Why? Because you wouldn't influence anyone. But if you were someone who was known, so when it's being played in the advert that this is the lotion that I use. Now, people will want to buy the same lotion. But there is another lotion, actually better, which is selling for cheaper. But you, even after speaking in tongues, will spend an arm and a leg to buy the one that is associated with certain people. And then you still keep on saying, I don't know what happens to my money. You know what happens to your money. You blow it away on things that you don't necessarily need. Are we together? By the way, some of these things I'm telling you, they sound very basic, but it may be the difference between you getting stuck for the next 10 years or getting yourself out of that bondage. Why would you now go for, let me use the basics. Why would you now insist on buying Iberio leather as a soap when you can easily buy, I don't want to mention now brand names, and it does the same job, right? Soap is soap at a certain level. Now, when we begin to talk about, by the way, you remember, if you remember your chemistry, what is soap? It is that dirt-loving molecule that attaches itself to the dirt, so that now it pulls the dirt away. Now, that molecule can have any brand name, but it is still the same chemical thing. But now, even when you are struggling, you are very busy saying, mi siwezi oga na kipande, mi naoganga na Cassons. But even after that, at least you should have bathed your heart also. Because now you are dodging people you owe money, which you used to buy Cassons. Right? Or you are now saying, actually, Pastor, I'm unable to pay my tithe. My needs. Mashida yangu ni mingi, hata nakutanga nimemaliza zina pesa ya nimekula mpaka tithe. So you are now in a circle of debt and need and stagnation, not because you don't have money, but because there are certain things you need to deal with. I'm being practical so that you can see some of the things we keep on running away from, actually that is where God wants us to be. Praise the name of the Lord. I will push this series until you get to that place where you can say, now, I am headed somewhere. Because if God has managed, his voice spoke to me and I came out of in matters spirituality to where I am, then the same concept should be able to bring me out of my financial bondage to a place where the glory of the Lord is seen upon my life.
Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. For more information, prayers or consultations, contact us through the numbers on your screen. You can also visit us on our branch in Egerton. Thank you and God bless you.